Hi everyone, once again welcome to your favorite channel TKG Physics Classes. So students, today we will start a new chapter which is named as Laws of Motion, and this one is chapter number 5. All of you know we already completed motion in a plane which is named as vector. Now we will start our new chapter, that is Laws of Motion. So you know laws of motion are in the branch of classical mechanics. And classical mechanics is an old branch of physics. So what we will learn from this chapter? We will learn force, the details about force. That is Newton's laws of motion, the nature of forces, the effect of force. We will learn about normal reaction force, frictional force, gravitational force, tension force in details. Then after that we will discuss Newton's laws of motion, first law, second law, third law, and proof of Newton's second law. Then we will learn the conservation law of linear momentum and the details about frictional force and some part of circular motion, that is the banking of a road, like that. So this is our main part for this chapter. So for knowing this chapter, first of all you have to know the basic concept, that is, in motion in a straight line, we learned when a body is moving, the velocity of that body, the velocity, initial velocity, and after some time the body attains final velocity, acceleration. Now question is, why the velocity of the body is increases? In motion in a straight line, which is named as kinematics, and this is laws of motion is named as dynamics. In motion in a straight line, we learn the effect, and in this chapter we will learn the cause as well as effect. What is the cause behind it? When a body is change its velocity, suppose a body velocity, initial velocity 10, and after some time the body velocity increases to 20 meters per second. Question is, why velocity increases? Okay, so the main answer is force. All of you know the definition of force. In your class 9 and 10 syllabus, there is some part of laws of motion. So force is a push or pull on a body which change or tends to change, mind it, always not change or tends to change the state of the body, that is the state of rest or the state of uniform motion. Suppose this body is under a rest condition. You see, this body is under rest condition. Now I am applying a force on this body and the body is moving like this way. That is, force can change the state of this body. The state of this body, that is under rest condition, and now applying force, the body state changes, that is the body is under motion. In same way, suppose I am applying a force in this way, but the body doesn't move. I am pushing a wall, but the wall doesn't move. That is, here force applied, but the state of that body doesn't change. So force definition, that is, force can change or tends to change the state of a body. And all of you know the effect of force. Force can change the state, force can change the direction of a body, force can change the shape of a body. Okay, suppose I am pushing a ball, rubber ball. So by pushing a rubber ball, the shape of the ball will change by applying a force. Suppose a body is moving like this way and I am applying a force like this way, so the direction of the body will change. So this is the effect of force. Now question is, mainly force are classified in two categories. All of you know, one that is contact force and another one which is named as non-contact force. Write it down a little bit about this part. So our first part, that is classification of force, and force are classified in two categories, that is contact force and non-contact force. Contact force, that means when two bodies are in contact. And the example of contact force, all of you know, frictional force, normal reaction force, string force, So frictional, write it down, frictional force, normal reaction force, string force are the example of contact force. In same way, non-contact force, that means when two bodies are not contact physically, that is gravitational force. All of you know about gravitational force, basic part. Suppose there is a mass m1, there is a mass m2, and there is a separation r. Here gravitational force F is equal to g m1 m2 by r square. We will learn, we will discuss in details for your gravitational chapter. So this gravitational force, you see m1 and m2 doesn't contact physically, there is a separation r. So this is an example of non-contact force. Same way, electrostatic force, which is in your class 12 syllabus, is also a non-contact force. Electromagnetic force, also an example of non-contact force. There are also some forces, that is weak nuclear force, nuclear force. In nucleus the force act, that is named as a strong nuclear force, and there is also weak nuclear force. So there are various types of forces, but in this chapter we will learn basically contact force, that is normal reaction force, frictional force, and a little bit about non-contact force. Okay, so first of all, for knowing this about force parts, that is the laws of motion, Newton's laws of motion, at first you have to know the basic concept of inertia. All of you know the meaning of inertia. The inertia word first used by Galileo, but Newton extended this part and gives the laws of motion, that is 3 laws of motion, first law, second law, and third law. So inertia, you see the definition, the inherent property of a material body by virtue of which it cannot change by itself its state. It cannot change by itself its state, that is state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line is called inertia. That is, it is a property of a body by virtue of which body remains to stay in its state. Suppose a body is under rest, so the tendency of that body will remains under rest condition. This is the inertia, this is the property. Actually the meaning of inertia is the resistance to change. Resist to change. So there are mainly 3 types of inertia. First one, inertia of rest. Second one, inertia of motion. And third one, inertia of direction. So our first part, that is inertia of rest. So all of you know the definition of inertia. So obviously inertia of rest is a tendency of a body by which body cannot change its state of rest. That's why it is named as inertia at rest or inertia of rest. Okay. Okay, give an example, then it will be more easier to all of you. All of you know this happens in our real life. Suppose you see a person standing in a bus falls backward when the bus suddenly starts moving forward. Suppose you are standing on a bus and the bus is under rest condition. So first case, as bus under rest condition, your total body is under rest condition, but suddenly the bus moving forward. When the bus moving forward, your lower part of the body, which is in contact with the bus, will be state of motion, but as the bus are under state of motion, but your upper portion of the body doesn't change its position due to its inertia of rest. So your body will tends to at rest condition, but your lower part will going forward. So obviously where fall this one backward direction. Okay, imagine it. And now second one, inertia of motion. So obviously inertia of motion is an also property of a body by which the body will stay at uniform motion. The body will remains to stay at uniform motion. And the example just opposite one, you see, when a moving bus suddenly stop, suppose you are standing on a moving bus and the bus is motion, so obviously your bus and as well as your total part of the body is under motion condition. Now suddenly the bus apply a brake, that means In that condition, bus is under rest condition. So your lower part of the body which is in contact with bus will be at rest at that instant, but your upper part of the body will stay at motion condition due to inertia of motion. So you imagine it, your lower part of the body is under rest, but your upper part of the body will be in motion condition. So obviously will like this way. Okay, so moving suddenly stop, a person sitting in the fall forward, we are going forward like this way. And there is another case which is named as inertia of direction. And inertia of direction is an inability of a body to change by itself in its direction of motion. That is named as inertia of direction. You see, when a bus takes a sharp turn, when a bus taking a turning, and a person sitting in the bus experience a force acting away from the center of the car path. You imagine it. So this is the example of inertia of direction. So basically inertia is an inherent property of a body by which a body which is under rest condition will remains rest, with tendency of that body will remains rest, and a body which is under motion condition will remains its state of motion, and until and unless an external force applied on it. When an external force applied on it, on a body, the body will change or tends to change its state of motion. But in general, a body which is under rest will remains its state of motion, that state. Okay, now for going to the laws of motion part, at first you have to know the linear momentum concept. I think all of you know about linear momentum. Okay, write it the little bit about linear momentum concept. Linear momentum, that means also is a physical quantity which is a product of mass and velocity of a body. Linear momentum, write it. Linear momentum, the product of mass and velocity of a body is called linear momentum. It is denoted by symbol P, that is m into v, and you know here mass not a vector quantity, is a scalar quantity, velocity is a vector quantity, and linear momentum is also a vector quantity. Now question is, what is the direction of linear momentum of that body? When a body is moving like this way, this is the direction of velocity of that body. Okay, suppose a body of mass 10 kg is moving in this direction, so the direction of velocity along this axis, so the direction of velocity will be the direction of linear momentum of that body. Okay, now question is unit, write down, very simple, mass kg, velocity meter per second, so kg meter per second SI unit. Now write down CGS unit, mass that is gram, and velocity centimeter per second. Now write down dimension, for mass dimension m, for velocity distance displacement by time, that is m, and there is l and there is t, so this one will be m l t to the power minus 1. So m l t to the power minus 1 is the dimension of linear momentum. Okay, now we will discuss three cases. Suppose case number 1, two bodies of mass, same mass m1 m2, that is equal to m, but first body velocity v1 and second body velocity v2. Now compare linear momentum. So for first body we will write p1, that is equal to m into v1, and for second body we will write p2 is equal to m into v2. Now compare it, p1 by p2, so this one will be m v1 by m v2, that is m cancel out, so we can write p1 by p2, that is equal to v1 by v2, that means p directly proportional to v. When v1 greater than v2, we can write p1 greater than p2. So draw it. that is graph of P versus V. So obviously V will be along x-axis and P will be along y-axis. Okay, fundamental coordinate along x-axis and other one that is along y-axis, and P is directly proportional to V, so the graph will be straight line passing through this origin, and this one happens when you see mass m1 m2 that is equal to m, mass remains constant. So this function happens when mass m equals to constant. Okay, now write it case 2. So for case 2 you just consider opposite one. Case 2, that is suppose v1 v2 that is equal to v, two bodies moving with velocity v1 v2 having same here, say v. So for first body momentum will be m1v, for second body momentum will be m2v, therefore p1 by p2, so this one will be m1 by v divided by m2 by v, v cancel out, that is p1 by p2 we can write m1 by m2. From here you can say p is directly proportional to m. So now draw it, p versus m, that is m will be along x-axis, independent coordinate, and dependent coordinate along y-axis. So p directly proportional to m, so passing through this origin straight line, and this one happens when v is equal to constant. So here v will be constant. Okay, now write down third one. So our third case number 3, suppose p1 is equal to p2 that is equal to p, two bodies have same momentum. So for first case we have to write m1 v1, and for second case p2 is equal to m2 v2. Now according to our condition p1 is equal to p2, so write it m1 v1 that is equal to m2 v2. So from here you can say m1 by m2 that is equal to, you see this one v1 by v2, that means m is inversely proportional to v, and this one happens when the momentum remains constant. So for this case the diagram will be this one, the m versus v. So obviously m will be along x-axis, v will be along y-axis, and this one will be inversely proportional like this one, and this one happens when p is equal to constant. Okay, so this is our momentum part, little bit about momentum. So actually in respect to velocity, momentum gives more information about a body. Okay, now we will discuss Newton's laws of motion. Now see, first one, that is every body continue in its state of rest or uniform motion. Uniform motion, that means a body moving with constant velocity in a straight line unless it is compelled by some external force to change its state. That means until and unless an external force applied on a body which is under rest will remains rest, and a body which is under uniform motion will remains uniform motion. When an external force applied, the state of the body will change. So this is the basic concept of inertia. From inertia concept, the explanation of first law given. Now we will learn second law. So in first law we learn that for changing the state of a body we need to apply some force, but how much amount of force we need to apply. So for this concept we will use second law. You see, the rate of change of linear momentum of a body is directly proportional to the force applied. We learned about linear momentum. Okay, now write it. So the rate of change of linear momentum, suppose P is represented as linear momentum. Now rate of change of linear momentum, that means dp by dt, d dt of P, that is the differentiation of t with respect to P, and this value is directly proportional to force applied. You see, force is a vector quantity and here P is also vector quantity. dp by dt, that is change of momentum with respect to time, that is named as rate of change of momentum, is directly proportional to force applied. And another condition given, the change takes place in the direction of applied force, that is in the direction of force and the direction of momentum will be same. Suppose a body of mass m moving with initial velocity u1 This is our time t1 at time, and after some time, that is at time t2, this body which of mass m, but its velocity increases. Suppose its velocity, final velocity is v1. Why velocity increases? How much velocity increases? That depends upon the force applied. Here this body velocity increases, that means some force applied on that body, that's why velocity increases. So change in momentum is directly proportional to force applied, and that change takes place in the direction of applied force. So in this, with the help of second equation, we will prove the expression of force. Okay, now you see third one, very simple. For every action there is equal and opposite reaction. There is equal and opposite reaction. Suppose a body is placed here. When a body is applying a force on this surface is also applied a force on that body. That means suppose there is body 1 and body 2. When body 1 applied a force on body 2, that is F12, force applied on 1 with respect to 2, that is exactly equal to force 2 with respect to 1. Magnitude value equal, but direction is opposite. So why direction opposite? This body is applying a force, so this direction is downward, and this surface applying a force on this body, so direction is upward. Okay, so this is our third law. Now we will prove with the help of second law, that is expression of force. So according to second law, write it down. According to second law, we can write dp by dt, that is equal proportional to F. So this is our first equation. At first write it down according to second law. Now we know linear momentum P, that is equal to m into v. Now differentiate it. Differentiate with respect to t on both side. On both side we can write d dt of p vector, that is equal to d dt of am into v vector. Here this one gives a dp by dt, that is equal to, you see here mass m constant, so this one will be outside and this one will be dv by dt. Here m and dv by dt, that means acceleration a. So dp by dt, that is equal to m into a. This is our equation 2. And according to Newton's second law of motion, we can write dp by dt, that is proportional to f. So from here you can say dp by dt, comparing equation 1 and 2, we can write, you see, f proportional to m into a. So from here you can say f is equal to k m into a, this one. Here k is a constant, and for simplicity we use k constant 1. So f is equal to m into a. This is our equation, that is force vector is equal to mass into acceleration vector, and this is the expression of force. Okay, now with this equation we can draw a graph, force versus mass, mass versus acceleration, and acceleration versus force, etc. Okay, now what is the unit of force? All of you know the SI unit of force. SI unit of force for mass kg, for acceleration meter per second square, and this one named as Newton. And CGS unit, the unit of mass gram, and the unit of acceleration, that is centimeter per second square, and this one is named as dyne. Now what is the relation? What is the relation between Newton and dyne? Write it down. The relation between Newton and dyne, I think all of you know the relation between Newton and dyne. Write it. 1 Newton, that is equal to 1 kg meter per second square. So for converted dyne, at first you have to convert kg into gram. So this one will be 10 to the power 3 gram. Meter, you have to convert it centimeter. So this one will be 100 centimeter, and there is a square, second square. So 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 2, that is 10 to the power 5 gram centimeter per second square, which is named as dyne. So 1 Newton, that is equal to 10 to the power 5 dyne. We prove it in this equation using dimensional analysis in your second chapter, that is unit and measurement. Okay, now we will discuss Newton's second law of motion in component form. All of you know the formula of force. that is F equal to F vector, that is equal to m into A vector. Here force is a vector quantity, so you can write F vector that is equal to Fx I cap plus Fy j cap plus Fz k cap. All of you know about Fx, Fy and Fz. Fx is the component of force along x-axis, this one is the component of force along y-axis, and this one is the component of force along z-axis. Mass is a scalar quantity, but acceleration is a vector, so you have to write Ax I cap plus Ay j cap plus Az k cap. And all of you know this expression is also related to this one. According to second law, dp by dt, rate of change of momentum, is directly proportional to force. So here p is a vector quantity also, so you can write px I cap plus py j cap plus pz k cap. Now using this equation, putting this value, so in the place of f you write fx I cap plus fy j cap plus Fz k cap, that is equal to mass into acceleration. So mass and acceleration, in the place of acceleration you write this one, that is Ax I cap plus Ay j cap plus Az k cap, that is also equal to d dt of p, that is d dt of p, and p means you write Px I cap plus Py j cap plus Pz k cap. So now compare it. At first you compare I cap, then j cap and k cap. So for comparing I cap, what will be the final form? You see here, this one is Fx, so Fx that is equal to here m into Ax into I cap, so this one is m into Ax, that is equal to here d dt of Px, so this one will be dPx by dt. Now comparing j cap, you have to write this one Fy that is equal to here m into Ay, that is equal to here d dt of Py, so this one will be dPy by dt. And similarly for comparing z, so this one will be Fz is equal to m into Az, and that is equal to dPz by dt. So these three equation gives the component form of Newton's second law of motion. You see, for finding force x component, we have to use the magnitude value of mass and the acceleration x component. Suppose acceleration A vector is equal to given 3 I cap plus 2 j cap minus k cap, and you have to find out the value of Fx for a body of mass m is equal to 10 kg. So for finding Fx, you have to use m into Ax, m that is 10, and here Ax, you see this one Ax 3 into I cap, so 10 into 3, this one is 30. Same way for finding Fz, you have to use this one m into Az, that is m 10, and Az you see minus k cap, so Az that means minus 1, so this value will be minus 10 Newton, this one is 30 Newton, like this way. Similarly, suppose momentum given, momentum p vector is equal to given, p vector is equal to 2 I cap plus 3 j cap minus k cap given, and you have to find out the value of Fx. That means at first you have to find out d dt of px, that is d dt of, suppose, okay, you write this one is 2t square I cap 3t j cap minus k cap. So Fx will be, according to our formula, d dt of px, so Fx will be d dt of px, that means 2t square, 2 constant outside, d dt of t square, so this one is 2t, so Fx value that is 40, like this way. Okay, now we'll solve two numericals. You see, at first write down the numericals. Problem 1. So for problem 1, the momentum, the position of a particle, the position of a body is given x, and you have to find out the force acting on the particle at any instant t. Okay, write it. You can take a screenshot this one. So according to problem 1, at first you write x equal to a t to the power 4 minus b t to the power 3 plus ct, and you have to find out the force, and you know the expression of force equal to m into a. That means for finding force you have to find out acceleration, and you know the value of acceleration a, that is equal to dv by dt, and you know the value of v is equal to dx by dt. That means at first you have to differentiate x with respect to t, then you will find out v. Then you have to differentiate v with respect to t, then you will find out a, and therefore you have to multiply m. So first of all you find out v, that is dx by dt. That means d dt of, in the place of x you write a t to the power 4 minus vt3 plus ct. So here d dt of a t to the power 4, here abc constant, mind it, this one is given, abc constant, d dt of t to the power 4, a constant outside, d dt of t to the power 4, that is 4 t to the power 3, you know the formula, minus d dt of bt square, b constant, d dt of t to the power 3, that is 3t square, plus d dt of 3t, ct, c constant, and d dt of t, that is 1. So 4a t to the power 3 minus 3bt square plus c, this value gives velocity. Now you have to find out acceleration. So for finding acceleration you have to again differentiate velocity. So a is equal to dv by dt, that is d dt of a 4a t cube minus 3bt square plus c, that is d dt of, okay, differentiate it directly, d dt of 4a t square, 4a constant, t cube, that is 3t square, minus d dt of 3bt square, 3b constant, and d dt of t square, that is 2t, and d dt of c is a constant differentiation, that is 0. So this value will be 12at square minus 6bt. So this is the value of acceleration. So obviously force will be m into a, that is m into 12at square minus 6bt. Okay, now you see second one, a ship of mass 3 into 10 to the power 7 kg. Write down fast the value given. Problem 2, mass given 3 into 10 to the power 7 kg and initially at rest, that is initial velocity u0 given, and pulled through a distance of 3 meter by means of force given F equal to 5 into 10 to the power 4 Newton, and distance A is equal to given 3 meter. Here you have to find out water resistance negligible. You have to find out the speed, that is final velocity v. You see, mass given, initial velocity given, force given, you have to find out you have to find out v. You know the formula, v square minus u square, that is equal to 2as. Here u given, this one, which one, is given, you have to find out v. So for finding v, at first you have to find out a not given, but you know the formula, f shuan m into a, that is a equal to f by m. Here f 5 into 10 to the power 4 and m is 3 into 10 to the power 7. So this one will be 5 by 3, 10 to the power 7 will be upper side, so this one will be 10 to the power minus 3 meter per second square. This one is the value of acceleration, 5 by 3 into 10 to the power minus 3. Now use the formula and find the value of v. So v square minus u square is equal to 2as, that is v square minus 0 square is equal to 2 into a, 5 by 3 into 10 to the power minus 3, and a's value is given 3 cancel out, that is v square is equal to 2 into 5, that is 10 into 10 to the power minus 3, that is v square is equal to 10 to the power minus 2, that is v is equal to 10 to the power minus 1, that is 0.1 meter per second. This is the final answer. The velocity is speed attained by the ship. Okay, in this way you can solve. This is the basic formula. This class is the introduction class of laws of motion. Today I am ending here. Meet you soon in next class. Till then, bye bye.